Well, we had a little frozen precipitation last night. South Louisiana, this is quite a rare event, and the temperatures are slated to get down into the teens in the next 24 hours. So anyway, so our roads are iced up, so there's not much to do today, so I thought I'd put together a little hunting video. Just for grins. We're all just hunkered down. The driving conditions aren't too safe, so we kind of know our way around the swamps down here, but when you throw a little sub-freezing temperature and some freezing precipitation at us, we really don't know what to do. So I thought I'd take a few minutes and just talk about a unique hunt I had up in Arkansas earlier this year. And I've got some actual video of the hunt itself that I'll insert into this story as we go along. But it was October. The rut hadn't really kicked in. Deer were kind of scarce. We hadn't seen very many, and I was talking to my buddy Mike and was telling him how back when I was younger I used to really get high up the trees, and that maybe that was a strategy I would implement that next morning, was go higher than I had been going for the last few hunts. And so I used 2 pull ropes and got up before daylight into a hollow that I hadn't hunted before, but I'd scouted it and found some pretty good sign. And I got up over 30 feet high, and it was one of those real calm mornings where there just was no wind, 0 miles an hour, still, clear, real pretty morning. This is my view this morning. Yesterday was windy and nasty, and today just a slight north wind, just a beautiful morning. I'm way up a pine tree, way up. I'm 30 feet up in the air. And hadn't seen anything until about 7:30. A buck came slipping by, and it looked like he was trailing where a doe had passed, and he head down, head up, head down. Pretty nice buck, and I could tell he was going to pass within shooting range of me, so I got my crossbow ready and got around on him, and at 20 yards I got a pretty good shot. Felt real good about it. It was a pass through, and the deer ran down the hollow, and I didn't hear a crash, but again, I felt good about the shot. So I reloaded the crossbow, put another bolt in, and we're just kind of sitting there, just kind of replaying things, and I heard another deer coming up out of the same bottom that deer had just run down into, and it was another nice buck, and he was kind of working his way towards me. And you can kill 2 bucks in Arkansas. The only criteria is that they have 3 points on a side, and so I judged that this one was even better than the first one I'd shot. So I said, well, if this is the end of my season, this is the end of my season. And he worked a branch, and then don't you know, he came on the exact same trail that other buck had been on. Again, that's why I think they were trailing a doe. And I shot him at the exact same spot, about as close to exact as you can get, that I had shot the other buck at. And he tore out kind of on a contour, just parallel to the drainage. And I thought I heard him crash. It's the end of October. The rut's just cranking up in Arkansas, and I can legally kill 2 bucks in Arkansas this morning. I just shot 2 bucks within 5 minutes with my crossbow. And I can see the arrows. 2 arrows are right there. So I'm going to wait about an hour and then go down and see if I can find them. They're decent bucks. There's not a giant, but how often do you get a chance to kill 2 public land bucks in one sit? So hopefully we'll make a good recovery. So I'm sitting there pretty confident my deer season's over, and I gave it about a good hour, and then I got down and went over and looked at the arrows. They had good blood on them, both of them, and they were right on top of each other. You could put a dinner plate on them. I'll show you that video. Jeepers. There's both arrows. Both arrows. That's definitely a hit. And that's definitely a hit. Good blood. There's a fletching. Ran right down there. The first one. The second one ran right by that white oak. And so I started tracking that first deer, and I don't know, several things that I did wrong. One, I'm maybe just overconfident. I was kind of doing a self-interview as I was tracking, and all of a sudden I noticed that a deer got up down below me and ran up the other hill in a direction where I killed a pretty nice buck the previous year, my first ever crossbow buck. So I kind of knew where that buck was headed, but I was kind of discouraged to see that, and I backed out and got on the other blood trail of the second deer and followed a really good blood trail and very quickly recovered it. It was a very nice 8-point. Deer number 2. Pretty old chocolate horn. 8. Down here in this bottom. How pretty is this? It was down near the water, so I didn't have to drag it very far. I went around and got my boat and got the cleaning tripod out and processed the deer. Pretty good morning.
Real good morning.
Went back to camp, had a sandwich, relaxed, and then went back about 2 o'clock, so maybe 6 hours later, after I'd shot the deer, and began to track the first deer. And I got on blood, and I tracked it up the hill, and nothing was right about the track in the sense that it was just spotty blood. There was never a spot for the next 600 yards where the deer stopped or laid down. He was just moving the whole time. Uphill. Went past where I'd shot the deer the year before. Got to a property line, private property, and I was hunting public, so I laid my bow down and I trespassed about 200 yards onto the private property, lost blood, trailed a little bit more, and then I jumped a deer, and that deer just ran off into the deep into the private property. And at that point, I felt like I had done about as much as I could do in terms of trying to recover that deer. So it's kind of bittersweet. That's the good, the bad, the ugly of deer hunting, particularly with a bow or a crossbow. But the good news is, because I had not filled both my tags, I was able to hunt later on in the year, and I killed a really nice mature buck. That I did that story on video a couple of weeks ago. So that's the story. two bucks within 5 minutes on public land, mature, shooting them in almost the identical spot. Never happened to me before. Will never happen again. Just a pretty unusual morning. I regret that I didn't recover that second deer, that first deer. But again, that's comes with the territory when you're flinging arrows out there. I think the steepness of the shot may have played into the fact that I didn't hit him in a spot that killed him quickly. So live and learn. But enjoy the hunts and enjoy telling the story. Thank you very much.